Hey, how's it going, everyone? This is your host, Jeezy Jesse, anything you want to call me, and this is Up Next Podcast. And here we have Mr. Aaron. Aaron, say hello to the audience. And
hello, audience.
Yeah, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Aaron Martinez, and I'm from a distant planet, and I'm here to take over the world.
I like that, man. Well, tell us a little bit about you, man. What do you do? Where did you grow up? Give me your life story. We're here just like Oprah. I want to see some tears by the end of this podcast. No, I'm just kidding, man. No, but you just kind of talk a little bit about yourself.
I'll try to hold back the tears.
Okay, and that's the funny thing, Aaron. Anytime I always ask friends too, like, "Hey, man, I don't want to get all like sensitive and talk about feelings." I'm like, "Dude, it's a podcast."
And then all of a sudden, it's like they're on Barbara Walters, right?
Yeah. Well, no, just some people get a little frozen or a little stiff on the mic.
Yeah.
It's not that serious.
I get it.
Yeah. Well, it's not that serious.
Feel better about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I grew up in La Puente, the bridge town.
La Puente.
Yeah. So back then it was a lot more ghetto. So I think, it's not straight up hood, but it's enough to harden you a little bit.
Right on.
You have a plan when the car rolls up to you and someone asks you where you're from.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So you got a lot of that stuff.
You know where the nearest fence is that you're gonna jump. But if you know the neighborhood well enough, you know where to go and where not to.
Right on, man. I like that.
It's a lot better over there now. No more,
So you were there all your life, like born and raised?
I was there off and on, like
okay.
my grandma's house where we grew up. So in a crazy dysfunctional family. Like
right
most
on.
of us. Makes you a more interesting person, though. I got no beef or hard feelings about it, but it was crazy, and there was me and my two younger sisters, my older brother. Actually have four siblings total.
4 siblings. So you're the middle of the pack, or are you the young? Okay.
Yeah, that's why I'm fucking psycho, because that's what happens to the middle children. But no, actually,
you kind of get just lost in the cause, just middle child syndrome.
You're kind of the exception. No, I was like a hybrid of middle child and older child because, my oldest brother, my half brother, we never lived with him. Then the next one down from that is 11 years older than me. So I don't know. My parents, they just popped out one and then 11 years later, here I am.
Okay.
And then one after the other, 18 months apart. So.
Well, hey, man, circumstances happen. Money situation happens. You're a parent yourself, so you can understand.
Right. One thing I definitely will say I did differently is that both my kids were like a straight up like decision. So I always told myself when I was younger, because I'd seen it too many times where it's unplanned or La Puente, right? Teen pregnancies.
Yeah, La Puente, man.
Right. So I always told myself that I would never do it just
just
whoopsie.
because. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, whoops, forgot to pull out.
And I'm not judging anybody else's situation or anything like that. It just meant a lot to me that I'm a kind of a control freak. So it had to be on my terms. So
I like that, man. So, sometimes you just got to know what you have in mind, plan it, go through with it, especially with kids. Kids are such a huge commitment. Man. I don't think people realize you got to take being selfish out of the equation.
Right.
So a lot of people don't think that.
And people say like, "Oh, when you have kids, you'll understand." Do you remember how annoying that was?
Oh my God, all the time.
And now I get it.
You
get
it.
I get it, man.
Yes.
It's insane.
Which I always tell everybody, family, friends, etc. It's like, don't be in a rush to have kids. You're plenty young. Wait till you're older. Wait till you're established. Wait till you're, found the right person.
That's a big
people
part.
think it's like, it's like this will bring us closer together. If you already got problems, a baby's not going to help it.
Yeah, that's for damn sure. Because then you add sleeplessness to the equation. And just
financial stress.
Chaos. Yep. Yeah. All of that. All of the above.
Yeah, all the above.
And I think though to humble my kids, because I know that neither of them were an accident. I think I'm always going to keep them guessing which one of them was an accident.
Just kind of mess with them,
toes.
Huh?
Yeah.
You're like, well, one of you guys didn't, wasn't planned.
Right. Yeah, you need adversity. Like, like jokes aside,
right?
I feel that I don't have any regret from the adversity that I had to face. From the minor ones, for example, like an older brother that punks you all the time.
Yeah.
Or cousin who's bigger than you that beats you up.
Yeah.
Like, I have no negativity about that. I feel like it made me a tougher person. You know what I mean? Hell, even my female cousin used to punk me. You know,
Okay.
she just laugh. We still laugh about that. It's just like, you know, and I was bigger than her. It doesn't even make sense.
How tall are you, man? Because
I'm 6'4".
6'4". Yeah.
And
my neighbor, we just did the podcast. I think it was yesterday or the day before. Honestly, all these days are blurred together. I want to say Monday. Monday we did the podcast. He's 6'4" too, also as well. And I'm like, damn, bro, like you're making me feel small. I'm 5'6" over here. So I'm just kind of like...
Yeah. You know, and what's funny is that I think I reached this height when I was 15.
Oh, really?
And because I was like 6'2" at 14. So it was like a growth spurt over a summer.
Gotcha.
So since you're mentioning that, here's a funny one.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
The audience will find this one interesting. And I wonder if anyone else has done this. So 7th grade... Well, actually, 5th or 7th grade, look like a total nerd, unrecognizable.
Yeah.
Not saying I look cool now, I don't. but I look like a total nerd, chubby, slick back hair, big old giant glasses.
Yeah.
You know, I begged my mom not to get me those big, thick glasses.
And this was, what grade were you in?
Middle school. So
middle school, okay.
I started middle school, 7th grade, total nerd. They didn't realize that, you know, I went to school in La Puente, so anyone who picked a fight with me, I actually ended up just... putting them in their place.
Okay.
Not trying to sound like a tough guy. It's just that when you're in survival mode for that long, it was just a natural instinct.
Yeah.
So they'd be surprised, like, oh shit, the bully got beat up by the nerd, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, I just look like a total dork, right? So the next year, that summer, I grew like 5 inches over a summer. Wow. Just stretch. And the growing pains, that thing is real.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I remember...
aching
like
bones,
my mom like, oh my god, I'm hurting, like give me something. You know, and she would give me like calcium.
Really?
Yeah, calcium.
Did it help?
I mean, calcium's there for your bones. They're supposed to help you strengthen your bones, but when you're in pain, like give me some good stuff.
Just stretching out like a freak, like a werewolf, you know.
Yep.
And so I came back the next year, long hair, stretched out like an accordion, all skinny. I look like a completely different person. So much that I was the new kid. And I just rolled with it. Female attention started happening.
Wow, I like that.
Good. I just leaned right into it. Yeah, I'm the new kid. I've never been here before. And like the whole year, like it just worked.
I mean, did you have like friends like that recognized you, or
really.
Were you kind of a little bit of an outsider?
I was kind of an outsider. Yeah.
Okay, so you had a little bit more of attention there.
And the one friend I did had moved on to his freshman year.
Wow.
So like there was just nobody knew who the hell I was. It was like
that's cool.
It was like a video game reset.
Okay.
It was cool. I made the best of that.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
I've been a lanky freak ever since.
Did you play any sports while you were in middle school or high school?
I was terrible at sports. Still.
Really?
Yeah, not athletic.
So coach didn't try to recruit you? I'm like, hey, man, give me this tall guy.
Oh, yeah. That's what made it even worse.
Really?
When you're 6'4" and you suck at basketball, yeah. You're just not coordinated.
That's what practice is for, man. Practice makes perfect.
And I guess, you know what? I just wasn't that interested. I like playing... You know, with my cousins, would go to the basketball court and play a little bit, but it was never like I was never competitive.
Yeah.
Sports just wasn't my passion.
Okay.
Like I don't even follow sports on TV.
So, what is your passions right now, man? What are you into?
Be music.
Music.
And I grew up in a musical family. My dad played music. You know, played in the band. So as far back as I can remember, I would sit there listening to him and his friends jam out. And
right on.
Not only that, my oldest brother, songwriter, singer. My other brother writes songs, plays guitar. Both my sisters are musicians. Like, we're just a family of musicians. I would be a black sheep if I didn't play.
That's funny because, like, my pops was big with music, too, man. He was, like, you know, little bands, little church bands. But it never stuck to us. My brother a little bit, but, man, I wish it kind of just skips a generation, I guess. I don't know. Sometimes... you either have it or you don't, but that's kind of one thing I always loved is music, obviously. But you know, I would have loved to have learned an instrument,
to have been able to do that.
To be able to. I mean, I play a few little keys on the piano, but nothing that I could be like, oh man, you're really good.
Well,
what do you play?
It's a certain mentality though, because like when we're talking about the sports, like I can enjoy playing a sport, but it's not my passion. And if you, on the flip side, you can pick up a guitar, play a few chords, and it's therapeutical, and it's real good for you.
Yeah.
But it's good for the mind, but it doesn't mean that you got to be a rock star, right? So some people, it's just different degrees.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
like that's just what I was really extremely passionate about, and it's a little bit like being a heroin addict, you know, because I'm just
You just want to pick it up again. Yeah. You just pick it up a little bit, and then you want to pick it up again.
Yeah. Yeah.
What instrument do you play?
Well, I started playing piano when I was 10.
Nice.
Because all the keys are in front of you. It's easy to comprehend. I tried to play guitar at that age, and you know, my dad and my brothers made it look so easy.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
And when I picked it up and played it, and it sounded awful, I just wanted to kill myself. I know that's dramatic for a kid.
Yeah, very
but it was
dramatic.
Depressing.
Okay.
And I just never wanted to feel that again. So I said, if I ever pick up the guitar again, I'm learning how to play.
There you
so
go.
when I was 13, I picked it up. I spent one whole month, 8 to 10 hours a day.
Dude, that's awesome.
Insane. I only stopped to use the bathroom. Okay.
And you didn't have anyone like teaching you some pointers?
Nope. I just had a Beatles chord book.
Okay.
And I just learned from that. By the end of that month, I could play fluent intermediate.
Dude, that's awesome.
I wanted to be in the beginner phase as little as possible. So I just put my mind to it, and
there you go.
And then the first time a melody ever came to me, that's when I was hooked. So
explain that to me. Like, what do you mean a melody came to you?
It's weird. It's always weird to explain this to people. So I have it down.
Well, I want to try, man. I want to hear.
So I was probably about 14, just walking down the street. I did a lot of walking in my neighborhood. Just you know, I like to that alone time thinking. And I swear, it sounded like something was playing in my ear, like almost illusory, borderline.
Yeah.
And then I realized, oh, that's just music, like that's coming out of my brain. Now I'm thinking, what is that? Where do I recognize that from? I don't recognize it from anywhere. And I realized, oh, something just came to me.
Yeah, it came to you.
And it almost felt like I'm not trying to inflate it, but in my mind, it was made it seem cool. It felt like an X-Men superpower coming up after puberty.
Yeah.
Like it kicks in.
It just kicked in.
It just kicked in.
Yeah.
And it's never stopped since. So I thought, oh, that's a one-off. I'll write this song. I put words to it. It was okay. You know, it was my first one. And after that, it just didn't stop. You could be doing anything, and all of a sudden it comes to you, and it would actually be distracting in school because I couldn't focus on anything else once it came to me. And I have.
Were you able to write it down in any way?
No, I couldn't because I don't know how to read music.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard some of the best musicians in the world don't even know how to read sheet music.
I don't know what that is because I've tried to learn sheet music, and it's really difficult. I haven't had the patience, but I know how it sounds. I know how I need it to go. Yeah. And that's really it.
I could imagine, man, just kind of looking at notes, you have to know exactly what that note is and how it does it. Like, I don't know. I think that is a talent all itself.
I think I'm going to finally do it after
I know,
25 years.
It's a talent, man.
Yeah, it's weird, you know. Two of my siblings, both my sisters could read music. They learned how to play like classical style guitar.
That's hard, man.
So, you know, anytime I need something transposed, I at least have someone who can do it.
Oh, there you go.
But yeah, just to me, everybody's different, you know, but to me, writing songs, it's the most addictive thing in the world. Okay. And it kind of goes in this cycle where...
Well, do you have anything that's out there in the internet right now?
Yeah. We released some music. We released our first EP back in 2012.
Really?
And there was a lot of drama.
Is there anything on YouTube I could probably look up?
Oh yeah, there's stuff on YouTube. Our last single was 5 years ago, so we've kind of been on a dry spell.
Well, I'll look for it later, man.
Yeah.
I don't want to get too distracted inside.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But maybe that could be a new
I'll
thing.
I'll take the free promotion though.
Yeah.
You know.
No, here's what I want. Send me the links. So when I do post this on YouTube,
oh, there you go.
I want to be able to post it and promote it. And same thing, I got it on my Instagram. So I'm kind of just doing this as for fun. So I'm kind of figuring this out.
Right.
Like, you know, like, okay, I should tag people. I should, you know, put on their stuff on there. They're on my description. So yeah, like I'm figuring all this out.
I'm terrible at self promotion. That's why nobody knows who I am. Because like seriously, it just doesn't come natural to me. Some people are good at that.
Yeah, you're more low key. You're a little bit more like, you know, on the back burner.
Focus on the art.
Yeah.
You know? Doing anything else is real difficult. But
no, it's definitely a talent. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're in a band now?
Yeah, we've actually, you know, been through numerous member changes, but the 3 core members have been the same. So my youngest
Tell me the name of your
sister
band.
is on lead guitar, and then then we've had the same drummer for like 17 years. So the name of the band is Starvea.
Starvea. Okay.
Starvey.
All right. For those listening to that, look it up. Tell me what you think. Write it down in the comment.
That was shameless.
I want to know your guys' opinion. Now, I'm just trying to get people more engaged.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Oh, hell yeah. You know, if there's something they can look up, even better.
Yeah.
And, yeah, man, we've been at it for a long time. The current lineup has been strong since 2007 with just bass player changes. Being in a band is so hard. It's a dysfunctional family itself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so hard to keep everybody.
Yeah, I hear about that. I mean, I can't imagine.
The dynamics.
Like, okay, I mean, you go through your ups and downs. I've seen the whole behind the music but to me it's like, I don't know, I think maybe like you're doing something you love and you're getting praise for it and you're getting money for it. It's like, I don't see how that would create conflict. I mean, is it just the egos? Is it people like not getting enough shine? I mean, what is your take on that?
Okay,
like,
so my
there was
is limited.
Go ahead.
Because I've never got the fame and adoration of money. So money has never been an issue because we've never made any. But
your opinion.
My opinion on that is that it is the ego. Because if you're writing all the songs, the rest of you are replaceable.
Yeah.
Right? You're thinking, it's all me. And then you have band members who are not getting the credit that they think they deserve.
Yeah.
Right? You know, when you watch like that long Peter Jackson documentary about the Beatles called Get Back. I watched like all 12 hours of it.
Yeah, that was a lot.
See how George Harrison walks out at some point?
Yeah, I do.
Quits, and it's because he's feeling like his ideas are kicked aside. On one hand, I've been there. I've been that person in the band, in another band before. But I also understand if, Lennon and McCartney are the songwriters. Hard to compete
that's like kind of like the greatest of all time,
right?
Lennon and McCartney, and then you're George Harrison, which is not too shabby himself, man.
Yeah. So it's just it was kind of their band, and I mean all the details are kind of moot at that point. It's just that's how I think it works. So I've been that person in the band where I'm like, really, you guys are just going to butcher my stuff, or you're not even going to consider my ideas. And I've worked with someone who's a textbook narcissist before. I'm not saying any names. I'm not trying to talk shit here, but like I know what it's like to deal with those kind of people. And unfortunately,
for those that are hearing me giggle, narcissist is one of those pee-wee words in my head. And anytime I hear the word, it's like it's just funny because
pee-wee word. That's
Pee-wee's play out. You get it.
Totally get it.
My furniture's gonna be like narcissist. But it's one of those, like, lately the society has been throwing that word around. So if you're even remotely close to that, a little bit of ego, a little bit of like pride in your appearance or your attitude.
That's a good point.
People throw it. You're a narcissist.
That's a good point because people will throw it around. Like a lot of words. That it kind of loses the meaning because you just throw it around.
Or fascist. You hear that a lot.
You hear everybody getting called racist, fascist.
You're a racist. You're a fascist. Yeah, loses the meaning.
You really mess up the meaning. When you overuse it.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to point out like what a narcissist is, and
what is your definition?
My definition is really somebody who everything is all about them.
Yes.
They have no consideration or even attempt at empathy towards what other people are feeling.
Yes.
And they never take any accountability.
Yes.
That's what a real narcissist is.
Yes. No accountability is huge.
Right.
And someone, in my opinion, what is textbook, is really full of themselves. Narcissist is full of themselves, full of their looks. That's actually the definition. Is like, they're all about their looks.
Like back to the narcissist, the mythological character.
Yeah,
that's like where the word comes from. Right?
Exactly.
Stared in the mirror until he died, basically.
There you go.
So yeah, it does go back to that, and so you're not wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that ingredient can stand alone without being a narcissist. For example, there are people who are full of themselves.
Yes.
But they don't qualify as a full-blown narcissist, right?
Yeah.
So I think when you're talking I'm no psychologist, but I just
no, but you're a pretty smart guy, so I like taking your opinion.
I have my moments, but I think that when it comes down to it, if you look at looking up the psychological literature about it,
yeah,
that's what they describe it as.
Yes,
And it's a really toxic thing to be around, and it can drain you, and it makes you.
Yeah, you were
yourself.
talking about. You mentioned something that really caught my attention. I think like a vampire energy.
Oh, an energy vampire.
Energy vampire,
Right.
man. Just like yes.
People who just drain you,
Oh, my
you
God.
know. And they use different ways to do it. And there's that show
Yeah.
What We Do in the Shadows. Have you seen that? It's the vampire
I've heard of
comedy.
it, and I've tried to get into it,
So
but I
there
can't.
is okay, the energy vampire on that show. I don't remember his name, but
Okay, so there was actually somebody that was an
yeah,
energy vampire.
and he does it by boring you, right? Those ones don't bother me as much. I have tolerance for those ones, but there's other ones that will do it by, let's say, by guilting you,
Yes.
right? There's other ones that do it by gaslighting you.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So there's different tactics, and that's what they're doing a parody of on that show.
Yeah.
They're taking a real life thing and they're making it supernatural.
Well,
But those people are really out there.
I don't know, man. I think the energy vampire ones, they just really test your patience.
Yes.
I think that's it, you know. And sometimes just inadvertently of just their like ignorance
Right.
of just not knowing, and then they're like asking
that's
this, asking that,
That's being
and it's
very
just like,
generous.
yeah. Sometimes you just don't have the patience. Sometimes it's just not your day.
Yeah, yeah. And then a lot of times I've noticed I feel bad after snapping at people, you know, like that. And
But you know, I know you were gonna chime in right here.
go for it.
So there was this other opposite effect that I've heard of other people say, where they're more rejuvenized and energetic when they're around people. So when they're on their own and they're like with a buddy, you know, they're like very casual. I've seen it where almost like it's performance, you know, it's like they get around a crowd and they got to be on. They got to be like,
I have some insight on this.
and I feel like that it's that opposite effect. It's like they get energized, and sometimes it feeds into the group, man. You know, people get all, you know, they feel the energy.
I can't speak for everybody.
Go ahead.
But one thing that I've noticed when I'm being reflective, maybe with the help of psilocybin, but I've, you know,
Which
in the past.
we'll put a pin on that. We'll talk on that a little bit. Go on.
But, you know, a long time ago when I experimented is weird. It sounds like I got test tubes. I didn't experiment. I fucking tried.
Yeah, we all fucked around.
So one of the things about that is it makes you very self-reflective. You see yourself in the third person.
Okay.
And you can see yourself maybe the way other people see you.
Yes.
And it allows you to judge yourself and detach and not take it personally.
Okay.
And one of the things I noticed, what you just described, I have that tendency.
Okay.
So I have this, and I've tried to work on it since, but I have this almost compulsion to entertain or to be entertaining.
Or just be upbeat
And I'm
and
not trying to show off. And
Yeah.
I think that sometimes maybe it even comes off wrong. Like it can come off like flirting at times when it's totally not like my intention. But
well, I think maybe just people want, like, especially when you meet new people as well, you probably just want them to like you. That's all, you know. That could be a compulsion too.
you see, I can honestly say I really don't care if people like me or not. I just it really is like a habit. Like if I bite my nails, right?
Okay.
I don't.
Oh, you got to hold the mic to your.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry.
I don't plan to do that. I don't say, oh, I'm going to do this now.
Yeah.
You just do it. You don't realize it. So that entertaining thing, always being on, trying to, you know, whether make people laugh or entertain them. And I think it just comes.
Where do you
from
think it comes from?
Defense mechanism. When you're a nerd and you're picked on in school,
Okay.
if you can be entertaining and make people laugh, they
Yeah.
leave you alone. Now you're the clown,
Yeah.
or now you're the jester.
You're the class clown. You're kind of
Right.
like, yeah.
I think that's where it comes from. And people who are in entertainment, I think a lot of them are like that.
Yeah.
Comedians probably
Comedians.
more so
Yeah.
than that.
Well, they harbor a lot of demons in the closet, supposedly.
Right. It
But-
seems that way.
Yeah, I mean, they start off that way as the class clown. You know, they don't want the light shined on them,
Right.
so they'll shine light on other things around them. They'll make jokes and put light on things, and you know, do a funny spin on things. So
Right. So I'm just like the musician version of that. You know, so I'm on stage, I'm
Makes sense.
comfortable, I'm playing, I'm probably more myself there than I am at a party having drinks with people.
and you know what's the
I'm
other
putting a
thing?
mask on.
There's something else as far as like, you know, when people have that social meter, that battery.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
also a real thing too, man. So people will, you know, they'll be on performing, talking, you know, laughing, and then all of a sudden it just shut down.
Oh, weird.
Just because they're like, that's it, man. Like I'm just tired.
Tapped out.
Yeah.
That's weird. That is strange. That's interesting. I never heard of that.
Yeah. Just your social media battery, man. And I see all the memes about it too. It's like, and I'm pretty sure people that are listening to this are gonna be like, yeah, you can't always be on, man. It's hard.
Right. It
like
can be exhausting. Yeah.
Yeah, or even like when you, like I used to do this quite a bit too when I was like just talking to somebody and I just kind of like talk to them with a little bit of a smile, and sometimes it's like like my face kind of gets tired just kind of semi-smiling, but yeah, sometimes you just get exhausted.
Does your throat ever hurt just from talking too much?
No.
Okay.
No. If anything, yelling. Yeah. I try to control my voice. If I yell too much, it gets sensitive.
I think that just means I don't know when to shut the fuck up when I'm talking to people.
Well, maybe sometimes. Well, this is the reason why I wanted you on the show, man, because when we met, it was like, man, dude, you got to like almost a little bit of a radio voice. You got a little bit of a personality that I think it would transcend really well on podcasts. So when you came...
That's a trip.
Yeah.
Well, you know that like the accent of American broadcast... You know anything about that? Like,
no, elaborate.
So like back in the day, I don't know all the details, but I remember hearing someone talking about how at some point, because the radio was so unclear, like back probably like in the 40s or 30s or something.
Yeah.
So the accent you could call my accent that, because I don't really have a California thing.
Yeah, the radio voice that was trying to sell you popcorn or cereal
like a nerd. But back then, it was really just to be clear coming through the waves. So that accent, what a lot of us consider no accent,
yes, that's
actually American broadcast.
Well, I think it transcended a little bit from that radio sound, a little bit to like news anchors.
Yeah. It's mutated over time.
You have your voice. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's a trip. And we think of it as no accent, but all of it.
But that's interesting that you mentioned that. I never knew that was a thing.
What made me actually look into it is because a friend and I, like 20 years ago, like he was moving to Virginia, so like I went on a road trip with him. It was like a bad comedy, the two of us together. It was like a bad movie.
So two guys in a road trip.
Yeah.
Go on.
He's a total like he was just the geek, the total dork of our group, you know.
Okay.
Had like a little neurotic, like a Cameron from Ferris Bueller type of vibe to him.
All right.
Okay. And so the dynamic was just crazy. Like we just got on each other's nerves. We were like a bickering gay couple by the halfway through. So
all right.
Like at some point, like it was just it was funny. We were sitting at a diner, and the waitress asked us where we were from. And when he opened his mouth, before he could even finish, she was like, "Oh, California." But she couldn't tell from the way I spoke that I was from California, and that just fascinated me.
Really?
I thought for sure I sound like unpronounced.
I didn't know there was a California accent.
But to this person, and probably where were we at that point? Probably, I think we were maybe in Tennessee at that point. And it was just so weird because he didn't even sound California to me. But she, in her southern mind, she heard something. I couldn't tell where you were from, but you're from LA. Like, you're from California, you know? And I found that fascinating. So I kind of went down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, I'm kind of curious to know more about that. Like, I didn't know there was a California accent. I know for a fact when Americans go overseas, Europeans and wherever they're at, they know who's American.
Right.
Yeah, they can just tell. I know there was a stereotype. It's funny. That kind of always stuck with me. But I think it was either on a movie or a TV show where they were like, oh, we're going to blend in. We're going to pretend to be Americans. I think they were either like Nazi spies or something.
Oh, man.
But the
That's just a great premise.
Yeah, but how they fooled people into thinking they were Americans, chewing gum.
Are you serious?
Yeah. So them just by chewing gum, they were like, okay, these guys are American.
That's weird because I never would have thought of that as an American stereotype.
Oh, huge American stereotype.
Really?
Yes.
I wonder what else.
Oh, I'm pretty sure just being loud, being obese.
Yeah, being boisterous. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, the one accent that I can hear is that LA hipster accent. That one just pisses me off. It's kind of up talk.
Okay, I don't know.
Like, oh my god, like I'll have an avocado toast. It kind of goes up.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't get that around here. Because you live in...
I don't know, maybe because I'm not that self-aware,
County.
but you could definitely tell just the Americans.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, I don't talk like that. If I talk like that, I would kill myself. But like when I hear people who talk like
different
that,
personalities.
oh, dude, there's just something about that hipster,
Okay.
you know.
Well, there's definitely
that
like
gets
different cultures. So, you got your Hispanic cultures, you got your white cultures, you got your blacks, your Asian cultures. All the cultures, man, we all kind of blend together. But yeah, you can definitely tell who, I guess, has class, who doesn't have class. Who's kind of a little well-educated, well-mannered. You could just tell by how they even say hello.
Yeah, but
You're like,
I think that there's accents and different like dialects even by counties.
Yeah.
Like I could tell somebody from, let's say, this part of Orange County versus another. It's so hard to explain, man. But I can usually tell.
I'd want to hear an example.
Oh, I wish I could do the example, but like...
Okay, like, is it just...
Okay, so...
You just pick up on the lingo or
it's the draw.
Or the vocabulary?
It's... Okay, look, here's one.
Because there's a lot of phrases I remember hearing when I was coming up, and I would hear certain words. I'm like oh yeah, you're like sick. Like, oh, that's so sick. Like when that was a word. I
heard that one got to us late. It was from the East Coast.
I heard it's from San Diego.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So who knows what the origin of it was?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel like for example, like Fullerton has a less laid back OC accent. So it's like kind of percussive, like bro, what's up, bro? It's got a rhythm to it, right? Whereas like if you go like further south, like towards Cincinnati, then it just becomes real chill, man. Like,
I don't know. I think you are super attentive to this because I would have never thought even I could understand by state and by region. But by county?
Oh, I'm serious.
I don't know, man. Or even by city? Like,
dude, it's there. I swear, it's there.
That's crazy.
Yeah. When
I grew up in Orange County, so...
Oh, which area?
Santa Ana.
Santa Ana. Okay, I don't get much of a defining trait there.
Oh, just a bunch of Mexicans, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not...
Little TJ.
Yeah.
So,
and
shout out to...
whitewash, but
shout out to my people in Santa Ana.
Santa Ana, all right.
I love you guys. But yeah, I was there for big majority of my life.
You spent most of your life there, like growing up?
No, teenage years.
Okay.
Well, I mean, up until I turned teenager. So by 15, I was out. So,
Okay, where did you go when you first moved out on your own?
Moreno Valley.
Okay, how much of a culture shock was that?
It kind of was
a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Only because Orange County, it was a little bit more populated. Mm-hmm. So you had more of a wider crowd, more of a diversity. Mm-hmm. Smaller town, not as diverse, not as crowded. So you kind of like, you still had your separations. You still had your, your cliques here and there. You still had, the your normal.
Right.
But it was a little less, not as many options.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So not as diverse.
Not back then. No.
Okay.
Not back then. No, it was pretty pretty simple. I don't know. I mean, now it's like everything's the same, man. So I don't even know if you could kind of like culture shock. I think the only culture shock you would get into now if you were like from LA, like, right. And if you were more of like a downtown urban kid, as opposed to like you come out here to like a San Bernardino or a Riverside or
I could see that, but I think for the most part to really get any sense of culture shock, it's got to be like another state, huh?
Yeah, maybe like in New York.
Yeah, if I went
maybe cold
there,
weather, or maybe hot weather.
I've never been there before, but I feel like I'd be very out of place there.
I know when we went to overseas and we went to like Europe, man, and that was the culture shock there. It was just, just the little things. Yeah. Like I know I'm trying to pull a Pulp Fiction.
Oh, yeah.
They got the same shit there, but just a little differences.
They just call it something different.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it really was. It was just like they were so used to like having different condiments out.
What part of Europe did you go to?
Well, we went to just the big ones: the Paris, the England, London, and Rome.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
never been to either of those places.
Oh, I recommend London, man. So if you're trying to travel abroad and still want that guardrail of English-speaking people,
Oh, right.
yeah. So you
Is
still
it
get
easy to understand there?
yeah, easy to
Okay.
understand. Yeah,
Okay, they don't talk
and
like
then right
Aussie.
away they
Oh,
can
no, that's London. That you can understand. That.
Yeah,
If you
yeah.
go to, like, Manchester or something, then they...
yeah,
where they
somewhere a
talk all
little
crazy.
up north, you know.
You need subtitles.
Yeah,
Just talk to people.
really like kind of like that SNL skit,
Oh,
like really British.
I played that shit over and over so many times.
Oh,
It doesn't
man.
stop being funny.
It's so good.
It doesn't lose its humor
Yeah.
at all. That one's good.
Yeah. Fred Amherstad and Bill Hader, man. Props to them.
Oh yeah, yeah. And speaking of not
Go
Bill
ahead.
Hader, Fred Armisen,
Yeah.
is that his name? He has a whole bit on accents throughout the country. That guy
Okay.
nails them. I found that shit so relatable, even though I haven't been all over the country.
Did he do it on like an SNL or are
No,
you talking
in his
about?
stand-up.
Oh, in a stand-up. Oh, I
so
never
he
even knew.
breaks down like every state in the country, and he just
okay.
nails all of them, and he like explains why they sound.
Yeah, guy's
Really do.
such a great comedian.
Yeah, he's good, man. He's a weird one.
Yeah, shout out to him, man. So going back to the mushrooms,
Oh yeah, yeah. Let's
I kind of
get
wanted to
back
hear a
that.
little bit more because I know we put a pin on that.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that and your experience.
So, I think the most profound revelation I had on it, and I'm gonna risk sounding like a damn hippie. I'm not trying to
Go
be
for
all
it.
preachy or shaman here, but the one thing that stuck with me the most, besides like the breaking down of the ego, because it's not about self anymore. You're just an experience, right?
Yes.
It's not like, oh, I'm Aaron. I'm this guy who grew up here. You're just pure experience. And I was, hanging out at Trebarnum Park, which isn't a normal park. It's a really huge park, and it just, you feel like you're in nature. You feel like you can get away from the city there.
So during this period that you're describing, how old were you?
I was probably 21, maybe.
Okay.
At that time. And,
Keep going. I'm sorry.
And, no, it's all right. It's all right. Adding details, context,
Yes.
And I, a few friends doing it there, and I kind of walked off on my own. We went our separate ways, and I remember feeling the life force coming through everything, and a very simple analogy, I guess, or metaphor for it became real clear. And I looked at everything around me that was alive, whether it be the trees, the animals that were around, whatever. It was all like ornaments, and each one has a different color.
Okay.
And they're glowing that different color. And it gives the illusion of multiple light sources. But there's only one light shining through all those different colors. So imagine that. You set all these ornaments up. You shine that one light through it. And what comes out on the other end has the illusion of multiple colors. But there's only one source. That's what the life force is that's in everything.
Okay. Yeah.
And I experienced that. And now you can explain that and you can know it. But to experience it is something else, and I took that with me, and it kind of had an effect of where my music went after that. That it's when it kind of took a more psychedelic turn, once I had that experience, because then I could see everything through that lens.
You bring up a good thought right now, which kind of like triggered me into thinking when you said psychedelic, and I kind of think back with like the Beatles because I know they were like a big influence on the world. You got your basic real deal, beginning to get their voice, Beatles, and then you have Sgt. Pepper, which basically is kind of like their, psychedelic trip of like, whoa, this is a whole nother experience.
I would even go so far as to say that Revolver was the bridge, that was the stepping stone.
Okay,
because you have Rubber Soul, then Revolver.
Yes.
Which ends with a very psychedelic track, Tomorrow Never Knows, and then right after that, Sgt. Pepper. So it wasn't just Sgt. Pepper. That was the most psychedelic to date at that point.
Yeah.
But you had like a transitional album that took you from normal Beatles into it. It was like a bridge.
I kind of wonder if, being the outside influence, not just of their own psychedelic experience, but maybe the psychedelic rock that was happening. You got your Hendrix, you got your, the Rolling Stones, and your other outside influences that might have shaped them.
I think there
as
is
well.
something in the ether, or what they call in the zeitgeist, right? There's a reason that a certain music can come up at different times. Now you can be logical and say, oh well, this one influenced that one, and there's a domino effect.
There can be.
I find it hard to accept that because it all seems to rise up at one time, even bands that aren't related.
Yeah.
So there's almost like that saying, there's something in the air. So
there is something in the air, something in the water.
There was
the other
something
cliche.
going on at that time in the world, and you could go woo-woo about it and say the planets aligned a certain way, or just, it could be cultural.
Yeah.
But also, the Beatles did acid, and that changed everything. So, there's, I guess there's two ways to look at it. The logical approach and, this kind of, I don't know, the universe kind of speaking through art.
I know one of the things that I remember hearing them talk about was definitely their influence from the Beach Boys and Pet Sounds, or I think that was the album, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they were the first ones to create, a multi-track album, which was huge.
Which actually came out before Sgt. Pepper.
Correct. And I think that was their big influence.
Being influenced by that.
Yeah, they were quite the revolution, man. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely something in the air, something in the water. Everyone just kind of feeding off each other. It's just the energy, like we were just talking about. People suck your energy. Others lift it up.
Others can revitalize it.
Yeah.
I think that's what was happening. And I think it's a real shame that the government, listed that as a Schedule 1 drug. And I don't think everybody should do it. Just as everybody can't eat peanuts, some people die from it, right? Not everybody should do mind-altering drugs.
Yeah.
But in the right doses, if they were controlled and studied the right way, I think they could make the world a better place. And I think that it was a travesty that they made that a Schedule 1 drug, up there with meth and heroin.
I think a big part when people say bad trip or good trip, I think it's on these trips, and it's a great metaphor when you think about it.
Because you are going on a trip.
You are going on a trip. But I've always said to other people, when life's a trip, you have emotional baggage. You decide what you want to take on your trip. Right. And that's kind of what happens, I think, on these psychedelic or, trips, or even alcohol, man. Alcohol is still a drug. People don't realize that.
Right.
It's whatever your emotion is, it's going to get amplified.
Right. And when you're drunk and making a fool of yourself singing karaoke, I would say that's a good trip. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
You're in a happy,
good
good
drunk
mood.
And you feel like fighting with people, that's a bad trip.
Yeah, it's a bad trip.
Drug.
Yeah, or when you're emotional, when you're drinking, and you're on
because you're crying.
Yeah, you're on your 8th tequila shot, and you're like, oh my god.
I've seen
that. It's your emotional baggage.
Well, I think one thing I would say, though, to people who, whether they haven't experimented with that or haven't tried psychedelics, I would say that you can avoid a bad trip by accepting a bad moment in that trip as just a bad moment.
Yes.
You can't expect it all to be happy. We expect everything to be convenient for us.
Yeah.
So anytime we're facing something with our inner demons, or we're having some form of adversity, people want to curl up into a ball.
Yeah.
But adversity is necessary. So when I go deep and
Absolutely.
I have that bad trip, I try to work through it. And before you know it, I'm having a good trip again.
Yeah. Sometimes you just kind of have to buckle down, and you kind of okay, here comes your wave of emotion. And you're like, whoa, and you ride it out, man. You ride it out you're on a surfboard. And
yeah, exactly. I mean, not every song's happy, right? There are some songs that break your heart. There's some real heavy ones, right?
Yeah.
But don't they get you through some shit?
They do, man.
You need both.
I remember
you
just
need both.
Going through those kind of emotional times, and I remember just kind of leaning on certain artists, certain songs, and be like, yeah, I remember that.
I mean, the Smashing Pumpkins are always a big influence on me, and they had some depressing songs. To this day, there's sometimes if I'm listening, I'm like, I'll just skip those tracks. It's not that they're bad songs, but some of them are just a fucking bummer, right?
Yeah, just a reminder of
but
something.
I'm glad they exist.
Yeah.
There's some other depressing songs. I'll be damned that if that time in the 90s as a teenager that I didn't relate to those 100%. And I think a lot of people they latched on to Nirvana for that reason, because whatever he was expressing, there's a lot of people out there that felt what he was saying in the lyrics and with the music, that they were feeling the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And when you hear somebody singing, whether it's on the radio or you're playing the album and you're listening to them and it's exactly what you're going through, it shows that you're not alone. And that's really fucking important.
That's true, man. Yeah, a lot of people just want to feel that connection, and you know, a lot of people are just kind of waiting for that person to come on by, put their hand on the shoulder, and be like, "Are you okay?" And sometimes that form of expression, that art, it comes out, and it's that arm that just taps them on the shoulder.
Yeah,
and
it's not exactly. Hey, it's not cheering.
Are you okay?
Up. It's just knowing that there's somebody there who gets it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. Some of the best, you know, I guess reach out that I've ever experienced, like during tragedy when times are bad, is not the stupid cliches, or, you know, people are good at, or well intended, but they'll say some stupid things sometimes.
Yeah.
But the most helpful thing was just kind of, hey, if you ever need anything, I'm here. And sometimes that's all it takes. And
that's
I think
all you need,
those
man.
Songs are doing that for people.
Yeah, so. Yeah. For me, it was the Red Hot Chili Peppers, man. I was a huge fan of them.
Any
just
particular
growing up.
Song? Or just their vibe altogether?
I think the Californication album, when it came out, that whole album for me, man.
That's a good one.
That was just like, every song was just hitting on every cylinder for me, man. So
I think that was the first time Frusciante came back after a long absence, right?
Yeah. He was obviously a big part of the group. That's what elevated them, I think. When they came back with that album, it was like,
yeah,
bro, that cemented them like as a solid.
Well, that's
band.
when I kind of knew they were going to be around forever, like the Stones.
Yeah,
and it ended up being right, because that album came out 25 years ago.
Sure did. Man.
That's fucking crazy, right? And they're still going.
They're still touring, man.
They're going to be playing in their 80s.
I bet.
I'm calling it right now.
I mean, I'm
they
in
their 80s?
No. No, they're, if anything, they're like late 50s.
Oh, okay.
Late 50s, early 50s, or mid 50s.
Yeah, it's.
So weird. I know they're definitely Gen X. So
can you imagine if Elvis would have went till he was 80?
Oh man!
Like if he would have made it.
Well, I don't know. Let's go back to this. Let's pull it back a little. You say that, but then look at all the great artists that have gotten old. It's very rare that they have.
That's true.
The staying power.
Yeah, that's true. And some people.
I mean, Paul McCartney. I'm sorry, bro. Like, you know, I haven't heard a hit song like what? Maybe their last Beatle album or last Beatle song. You know the what's that song called?
Now and Then.
Now and Then. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that he probably recorded.
I think I can forgive him after the Beatles. That whole body of work exists.
Yeah.
I think you're okay. I think you're all song written out. You know what I mean? I think
you're tapped out. Yeah.
Right. No, but I get it, because look at like Iggy Pop's never gonna release something with that same energy. You're never gonna get a new Sabbath album that hits as hard as Paranoid, right? Like that. That's just
exactly.
I think that's just how it is.
So yeah, when people say that, imagine if Lennon was still around, like he'd probably be tapped out too.
Yeah, he probably would. Yeah. But at least you could play the classics, and that's why I think it's so fucking arrogant when certain people are like, "Oh, you know, I'm not a human jukebox anymore." Like Robert Plant has that kind of attitude. Like, I don't want to play the hits. It's like, well, let's face this. We all like you for your old shit. Your new shit sucks, so play what people want to hear.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Like,
no, that's for sure. Exactly that. Just
too many of them don't appreciate it. You don't realize, like, do you realize how
for them they've gone on tour and they've played those songs to death, where they can't stand it anymore.
Right. Yeah. But you don't live in poverty, so suck it up. Pick up your balls, get back on stage.
Well, that's the thing. They don't have to. They got enough money.
And that's okay, too.
That's okay.
But when you're going to do a show that people paid money for and you're not going to play the hits, I'm sorry. At least break it up.
What is cool, what I do like seeing, have you ever seen those, the Kennedy Center tribute, where they have today's rockers give homage?
No, I never.
You never seen those?
Nope.
Yeah, it's like the Kennedy Center honors, and then they have honorary people. Like one of them, they had like Led Zeppelin, and they had Led Zeppelin covers from different artists, and it just killed, man. It just it destroyed. And then you had like Jimmy and Robert kind of looking on in admirement.
So kind of similar what they do at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yes,
it's similar to that.
Exactly.
Okay. Yeah,
they give an homage to it. But the ones that stood out to me always was like that, the Lincoln Kennedy Center honors, and then like the one that stands out was obviously Led Zeppelin, because like they had people just playing their songs and just kind of seeing their expressions of hearing their music, and they were like kind of
refreshes it for them.
Less
sick of it.
Well, and they also get to see it from the crowd's perspective, like this is what we all feel, man. This is like how we were all like, fuck yeah, dude. Like it motivates you, it just gets you pumped.
I can see that. That's an interesting perspective, and I never really actually gave it that much thought. That you're sitting in the seats watching someone play the song that made you famous at some point. So that's absolutely interesting. I get that. That must be a great feeling, though, to have made it to that point in your life.
So let me ask you a question here, since we're on the topic of music. Give me your top 5 bands. Oh,
that's so hard.
It's hard, but usually the first ones that come to mind are usually
Pink Floyd. That comes to mind.
Beatles, Pink Floyd. Okay.
So that immediately comes to mind. I don't think Jane's Addiction's influence can be understated. That whole group, I feel like Jane's Addiction and Porno for Pyros are all grouped into one family.
Never was a big fan of Jane's Addiction.
Okay, fair enough. A lot of people can't stand his voice.
Yeah, I think that's it.
You either hate it or you love it,
Yeah, which I can imagine, dudes well, I don't know. Even then, you had your Axl Roses, and you had your Bon, or not Bon. Who's the other guy? The guy from AC/DC.
Oh, I can't remember his name, but I know what you mean.
Brian Johnson.
Not my favorite voice.
Yeah.
But
his voice, you
I get it, but it's not for everybody.
But it's the songs, man. So that just goes to show you how much iconic the songs could be, that it doesn't matter that their voices are a little gravelly,
you also gotta, on top of that, realize that that's part of what makes it. So if you had Freddie Mercury, a great singer, singing Jane's Addiction songs or Oasis's songs, it would not hit the same.
Which AI has totally opened the door.
Oh, fuck it.
Have you seen that?
You can't beat him, join him, though, I guess. I think I'm going to get
Dude, it is so gnarly to hear,
Yeah, I've heard it. It's really bizarre.
Yeah, Freddie Mercury covering, System of a Down.
Yeah, it's weird.
It's
really bizarre.
Bro.
Or when they make new songs by that artist.
Yes.
Because I felt like there's some people that are just maybe too individual where the AI had a hard time imitating them.
I don't know. They hit it spot on.
Like a shitty cover band. It didn't do Hendrix very well, but then some of the poppier ones, it did them perfectly.
Yeah.
So I think some people are just harder to imitate, but it'll get there.
No, I think it's nailed every single one.
Yeah.
It went through a litany of freaking artists. I remember they were like, hey, they're all going to play this one song, and they're all going to have their little verse. Mm-hmm. And it was like, wow, it was just seamless. It just kept going from one artist to the other artist to the other artist. And I was like, damn, that shit just slaps.
Well, I don't think it's too hard of a transition because, at the risk of sounding like a pompous fucking hipster myself, I think a lot of the famous, the mainstream music in the last 10 to 15 years, maybe more, in my opinion, I think a lot of it has been soulless anyway. It's just I'm not saying it's not good bands.
It's kind of I get where you're getting at, because I hear a lot of just
it's fast food.
Yes, that's the best. That's the best way I could describe it. Yes, nail on the head. Great analogy.
Put together fast.
It's just you put some beats over it, anything, some repetitive shit. You put a little production value, and you can make a song about anything. You can make a song about garbage. You can make a song about dirt. And then people are going to fucking bop their head to it.
And I don't want to say too many names because, what if this podcast ever gets super famous, and then I'm going to be the asshole who's like, so-and-so sucks.
No, go for it.
But I just think, I'll just speak of the era.
Go ahead.
But there's a lot, even in rap, I'm not a big hip-hop fan, but I can appreciate it as an art form.
Yes.
Right? It's not my main choice, but I get it. But I appreciated it more when I heard newer shit that really sucked.
Yeah.
That was just so bad. I mean, there was
no effort.
The beats weren't, no effort. That's what it sounded like.
It just sounded like, and no
and
real
Snoop Dogg came
emphasis.
On right afterwards. I was like, oh, there's a beat.
Yeah.
There's a bass line. That makes you, you get it when you compare the two.
Yeah.
When someone puts a lot of effort into it and then someone's just doing fast food.
I remember I thought it was so great when people would kind of talk about Pac, and they would say, you could hear the emphasis in his voice. How he would just deliver the line after line.
You think AI is going to be able to do that?
Oh, yeah. You know why? Because it just takes what we've already done and just duplicates it and just tweaks it a little bit.
So it's just
and
a
then,
copy of a copy, basically.
Yeah, but that's kind of what art is.
Yeah.
Life imitates art, and art imitates life. It's
like
chicken and the egg.
I would like to be altruistic about it, but I don't know. I'm probably wrong. But I would like to think that the human soul is not replicatable. I would like to think that a real human songwriter...
Yeah, I think we're all just little cells on a petri dish, and you could just slice it up in many ways.
Well, maybe the soul isn't a ghost, but the soul
the spirit
is the programming of those cells.
Yeah,
the synapses to me is the soul, because I think I don't really believe in the religious part of it. You know, don't anybody get all offended by that. I just don't. I don't buy it, but I believe there's something else. I'm not. I don't know, to say I know what it is.
Or maybe we're just living in the Matrix.
That's possible too.
I don't know, man.
In which case, can we just fix the programming? If the whole simulation thing, let's get into that.
Well, that's just it. You run the course. So if you're in a simulation, if you're running a program, then you run it till it crashes.
Yeah, well,
you just like
program.
You're like, okay, one's going. You put in the parameters, and then you just kind of like a little ship, on the ocean. You just let it go.
They can't go in and remove certain things. Okay,
I don't know.
Coder, if you're listening, if you made this reality,
I don't know.
Could we maybe remove pedophiles from this reality? Could we do that?
How
about that shit in Israel?
Yeah, yeah. And all that death, all that murder,
could we,
all that
maybe
greed.
Write that out of the code?
But no, man. I think adversity, all that stuff's there to, make the strong people be strong.
Let's have maybe adversity 1.0, not this crazy hyped up shit. I don't know. Death, okay, accidents, but I mean, I think we could all agree we can do without serial killers, I mean, I'm just saying.
Well, murder's been around forever. It's never going to go away.
And that's what makes me wonder if it's not a simulation, because I think a simulation, you could do better.
You could. But hey, we got really off track.
Yeah, that's completely off track.
By the way, going back to your top 5 bands.
Oh, yeah, I only mentioned 3
two.
technically. Or two technically.
3 with Jane's Addiction.
Yeah. So, Smashing Pumpkins, as I mentioned before, probably one of my biggest influences, and the lesser-known Jesus and Mary Chain.
Never heard of them.
They're a band in the 80s. While everyone was doing new wave, they were basically pioneering noise rock, where it was just a lot of feedback, or what came to be known as shoegaze. I don't know if you've ever heard of My Bloody Valentine.
Yes.
So they wouldn't exist, in my opinion, if it wasn't for the Jesus and Mary Chain. So they came from that.
Okay.
And then they eventually, those guys influenced bands in the 90s. But they just have a certain rawness to them. And they eventually got more poppy, but the songwriting was still good. And they just been a major influence on me. So when I'm the kind of person I like to be open about it. I've probably ripped them off so much, but I get away with it because nobody would ever hear it and be like, "Oh, that's him." Cause
that's it.
Not too many people know about.
Yeah, they don't know.
Well, some of the older people who've been at our shows, you can always tell the generations. Some people say, "Oh, you guys sound like the Pumpkins," but the older people, it's like, "Oh, I heard some Mary Jane in there." Like, "Oh yeah, if you're over 40." then you'll get it, or
you get it.
50.
You get it. Yeah. No, I got you, man. So we already talked about top 5 bands. Give me top 5 movies, because if you haven't realized it, I am a movie buff.
A collection here.
Yeah, I mean that's just a small sample. I mean I got way more.
I know it's cliche to say Pulp Fiction, but it's up there.
No, it's good. Yeah, I love it.
That's
very original.
Yeah, the original. I like groundbreaking stuff.
Yes.
I like the bands that are doing shit that hadn't been done before that. Yeah. Groundbreaking is important.
Very experimental. Yeah, I like it.
And then,
so that's one, Pulp Fiction, because you're getting sidetracked.
Okay, yeah, I'm about to go back to music. The City of Lost Children is one of my favorite movies.
I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
Really fucking good.
Give me a quick synopsis of it.
Okay, so in the way that Edward Scissorhands takes place in a fantasy, you got a complete suspension of disbelief, right?
Yeah.
To think a man can invent somebody. Well, it's got a similar premise. So there's, without spoiling it too much, there's this guy who pretty much invents a whole family. But each of them is flawed in some way.
Okay.
And one of them, the main antagonist, one of his sons, I guess you could call it, has never had a dream. and he grew old really fast because of that. Which I think that's just an artful point anyway.
Okay.
Like he just withered away into this old man.
So he never had like
he can't dream.
A dream, or he never could dream.
It's kind of open to interpret. It's more like he couldn't dream, like when he sleeps, like no fantasy. He has no imagination.
Okay, maybe that's.
But it kind of crosses over to the figurative dream.
What was it called again?
The City of Lost Children. And that's because this man stills children and tries to still their dreams.
All right.
Places this crazy mechanism on his head.
Do me a favor
awesome.
Before I forget.
I will text that.
Text it to me. Yes,
I will.
So I'm gonna be like, hey man, listen to that song.
Yeah.
All right. What's the next one?
Edward Scissorhands.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I love Tim Burton.
Wow.
I love the Tim Burton aesthetic, the whole vibe. I mean, his earlier stuff was the better stuff, of course.
Yeah.
When, Caroline Thompson was writing the scripts. That's when his stories, his ideas. But when she left, I saw a decline in quality immediately.
Yeah, he was definitely very dark, and I love that tone.
Yeah.
Like, I guess the best example that always comes to mind is like Batman Returns.
Oh yeah.
I always say was such a beautiful piece to kind of see, just how it was shot. You know, the costumes.
It also looks more like a work of art than something to be lived in. Basically.
Oh yeah, but it had that little bit of a very dark tone, man. I don't know. I don't think we'll ever see something like that again.
You know what it is? It's got the goth undertones, but in a very whimsical way. You know what I mean? It's very theatrical, and I heard one critic describe him. I wish I could remember the name, but he described what Tim Burton does is he takes like childhood fantasy and fear and puts a human heart into it. And that is kind of true. I like that. Because Edward's pretty terrifying on the face of it. On the face of it. You know,
but then you plop him into suburbia, and then he's over here being your friend.
Yeah. I actually went on the Tim Burton exhibit. This was probably 12 years ago. There was this exhibit in LA. I think it was at the LACMA. And you could see all his sketches and the notes he wrote down for the character. And stuff that doesn't make it into the movie. This is just his notes to build the character.
Writing it down.
And he's talking about of course the scissors, but doesn't have hands yet. But one of the notes he made that the inventor made a mistake and made his heart 2 sizes too big, which I thought was kind of a cool Grinch reference. Yeah, okay. It's like the opposite, like a reverse effect. It's a reverse, yeah. So that's why he's such a compassionate person
and so kind-hearted, almost childlike.
But then you chalk it down to
here, just follow me.
He just put up too big of a heart in him. I just love that analogy. No, that's good. And. Yeah, then the next one would probably be Nightmare Before Christmas. I was obsessed with that movie when it came out. I was probably the only weirdo who enjoyed that movie. I
really wasn't a big fan of that.
Yeah.
Just because the story, to me, it was like, I know people love it. I just wish I could be better invested into it. My wife loves it just because of the songs.
Oh, yeah.
She's she loves theatrical songs. But I'm kind of like, I need a little bit more substance, and it wasn't there. It was cool. That premise, the idea of it, but I don't know, maybe the little claymation it just took me out of it.
Oh, you don't like the stop motion?
No.
Yeah, I really dug that a lot. No. The story,
I think that just took me out of it.
The story's good because if it would have been the other way around, it would have been less original. They made Christmas the weird people because you're looking at it from the perspective of Halloween Town. So this creepy skeleton guy finds that to be completely he's completely enthralled with it. Yeah. So that's the part of it that I thought was original about that story. That it's really the greatest version of the grass is always greener on the other side. You know what I mean? But then taking it too far and trying to take it over. I don't think it's too preachy. It's not that deep.
Well, no, it's not preachy, but also at the same time,
you wanted a little more, huh?
Yeah, it's just. I don't know. It just
memorable characters, at least.
Jack, and Sally. That's it. I mean, there's a couple other ones. Again, art is subjective. It's my opinion. So for me, for you. It just didn't hit me like music.
That's not actually directed by Tim Burton.
Produced.
It's produced by him, and he made up the story and the characters.
So every time I always look at this credit, I always find it very weird and fascinating that he directed Pee-wee's first movie.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, yeah.
Weird,
and
right?
he's in it.
How bright it is?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a weird one. And that was Danny Elfman's first
But
gig with him.
exactly, that was their first little marriage.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, they just kind of just stuck with it, which Danny Elfman is just huge.
No, I think it's the same way bands go too. Your first movie, I don't think it's going to define you. You know, you get the budget to do something,
Yeah.
and then after that, you're kind of free to do like your thing.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
so you're going to become more yourself. Because what was after that? Beetlejuice.
I think so. Yeah.
Total, like that epitomizes
So that
Tim
was
Burton, right?
yeah, Tim Burton. Yeah, and then I think where he really hit his stride was like Batman Returns and Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah.
So that little short time that really defined who he was.
And
like
where the movies and music tie in, my very strong opinion about this, I feel that what Danny Elfman composed on Edward is just as good as anything I've ever heard from Mozart or Bach. I really think it's one of those really good pieces. It just happens to be for a movie, so people wouldn't take that as seriously, right, or see the reverence to it. But I think it's one of the best pieces of music ever written.
Batman theme. He was on par with John Williams.
Oh yeah,
he was on par with like the best composers you could ever think of.
And it sounded like something written by Wagner too, where it was like real big and brassy, and
it was very
dramatic.
Like it swelled you up.
Yeah, that
it was just very swelling, and it brought those emotions. It was great. I think that's what made Star Wars was just having that John Williams
touch. You can't
touch.
underestimate the score music, man.
No,
you watch a movie without the score, it's a whole different.
It's another movie. It's kind of like
music tells you what you're supposed to be feeling at that point. Yeah,
it takes you on that journey, man. Yeah. So I think that really is the magic sauce, the secret sauce. You know, you find those songs, that score, that music that really touches your soul, and then it just takes it to another level.
The one to first do like real groundbreaking stuff, like the pioneer of horror music, that would be Bernard Herrmann. Because when you hear those screeching violins on Psycho, that I can't imagine what it must have been like. What was that? The 50s? Early 60s, maybe? I don't know what year that came out.
But I want to say 60s.
It was a long time ago. And
early 60s, late 50s.
Can you imagine seeing that scene for the first time with those shrill violins? Like that was just, that's what I mean by like groundbreaking. No one had done anything like that before. Yeah. And it kind of like affects the way that art form is going to be done for like decades to come. You know,
I love, and people just copy the style.
Yeah,
there was this great movie that came out, and you've probably already seen it, but it's called The Substance.
Oh yeah, the body horror one. Yeah,
yeah. So every shot that you could look at, it was just duplicated from some of the greats, from like what's his face from The Shining, the director.
Oh yeah, it did have a Shining vibe to it, didn't it?
Yeah, it had The Shining. It had Hitchcock, Psycho. It had like all these great like moments in cinema, and they just kind of took those shots.
Oh, yeah, the way she's laying on the shower floor, that does look like Psycho, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's a lot of it. So
shit.
We'll take a look at it when we're off
crazy.
air.
I didn't put that together. Now that you're mentioning,
yeah, there was a lot of videos kind of dissecting it in that way.
Wow.
Yeah. So tell you what, it's been about an hour, and this is So I always like to try to keep these in about an hour short. Yeah, we're about an hour and 8 minutes. So we're gonna wrap this up. And I always leave it to my guests to kind of just say last final words, a little piece of advice, whatever they want to do. I kind of just leave it up to you.
Okay.
And then
I'll make it as snappy as I can. There was one thing I did want to talk about that we didn't get into, but, I've been through the whole signing a record deal when we did our first EP, and there was a lot of drama behind that album, a lot of regrets. And so there's, at my age, I'm not chasing that pipe dream anymore. That ship has sailed. But one advice that I would give to anybody who has a record deal put in front of their face, or distribution deal, or whatever it is, I'm sure it's different now than it was in 2012. But don't ever just jump into something because it's an opportunity. Always do your homework first. Don't take that chance, because it did not go well for us. And I went through, I don't want to throw anybody under the bus or say anything bad directly. I don't even want to say the record label's name, but things went bad. The tracks were put up wrong. We put all our heart and soul into this EP, and I felt like it didn't get the treatment it deserved. And so I just wanted to plug this real quick. So we're re-releasing it, remastered, redone, 2 brand new songs on it, and that is set for a release date of July 18th. And that's a Friday, July 18th.
Hell yeah,
and,
brother.
Stellar Womb EP 2025 special edition. And once that's out, I just ask anybody not to even stream or download any of the older versions of it because we really got screwed on that. And
Okay.
Yeah, just don't make the same mistakes I did. Be wise.
We'll definitely be looking it out for it. I hope to have you back on. You have definitely like helped, keep the conversation going. Every direction we were talking about, from movies, music, artist, art, you name it, we talked about it. Hopefully we get into deeper dives. I'll have some topics
we
pre-hand.
Branched out on all kinds of crazy ADHD.
And you know what?
There.
That's what a conversation is. It just naturally flows. You don't know which direction. Right. You just want to get an idea out before you lose it.
Yeah. Oh, and one more thing to the coder of the simulation. Just make it better.
Just
fix it.
Do better.
All right,
guys. Well, hey, thank you for joining us. This has been a pleasure. Hope to have you guys on the next episode. Subscribe, like, comment, all that bullshit.
Do it.